Ashes of Creation will have microtransactions, and from what I've heard, not just a few. And yeah, today we're going to have a look at them and we're going to talk about this.
Hey, what up, boys? So we're in a bit of a lull at the moment, waiting for literally anything whatsoever to happen with Ashes of Creation. And
True.
Although I'm confident this month's live stream will deliver something spectacular,
Let's hope so.
we still need to fill the time between now and then with baseless thin air for a game that quite literally, yes, you guessed it, doesn't exist. So I thought to myself, what kind of controversial bullshit can I spew out today as an excuse to show off my ballsack in an epic anime level intro? And rummaging through my hat of malicious clickbait, I thought, why not take an unnecessary stab at Ashes of Creation's NFT level cosmetics and farm some hate from the community I rely on for revenue? What could go wrong with that plan? But before we get into that, our patrons and I would love for you to grab yourself a Coca-Cola, because I've always hated Ashes of Creation's approach to monetizing their game. I do indeed think it's a pretty bad picture for onlookers of this passion project to see a Kickstarter-funded game that has $36,000 worth of cosmetics for sale.
Yeah, I think this is so insane. Like, this is something I hate so much about modern gaming. Like, if you look back, like the good old gaming days when like World of Warcraft was released, for example, where like Oblivion was still a thing, Skyrim and stuff like that. And I'm talking about an era that was like way beyond 10 plus years ago, right? Like, there were not so many microtransactions. How you usually play games is you go to a store or you order them online, then you receive the game. You install it on your computer, you start playing it, and you paid either once for the game or you only have like a subscription, like old school World of Warcraft, right? And you pay monthly or I don't know, like 13 euros or something, and that's it. And you play the game. And then like when did this happen? Like I think about like 7 or 8 years ago it really started. Like more and more microtransactions came to the game. Some games that had like 0 microtransactions suddenly got microtransactions. And you know what's insane? Even freaking Skyrim suddenly had microtransactions. Like a single player RPG game. Can you imagine this? Like, this is insane. And more games get this. Like, even games that never had microtransactions before are seeing them now. And then you have like those pay to win sort of games like Genshin Impact. And you have Lost Ark. You have Undecember. And like, there are like so many freaking games with like microtransactions. And it's disgusting. And they're taking great inspirations from also the mobile gaming industry, and I don't like this at all. Like, I think you pay for a game and you have it, that's it. Why we need microtransactions? I know this makes like the companies rich and they benefit a lot from it, but I think the focus should just be on a game itself, and that the companies sell this game as much as they can. Like, just make a good game, you're gonna be billionaires anyway. You don't need microtransactions. If the game is good, you just sell it a lot. I mean, I have a good example. Like, Minecraft is crazy cheap to buy, right? Like, it's like what, like 39 euros or something now. And they do have like some microtransactions, but that's more on the console version of it. But on the PC version, are there even any microtransactions in Minecraft? I think there are not, right? Or correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section, but there are still games out there that don't even cost a lot. But if you look at how much money they are making, like how much money Mojang for like the Minecraft company are earning without like the big microtransactions, like a gaming company, in my opinion, does not need microtransactions. They just need a good game that they can sell often
before it's even released. And I want to explore this today to get your guys' opinions on a few of my spicy takes. Now, with all that bollocks out of the way, let's begin, shall we? So let's start with the clickbait in the title and thumbnail, because that's probably why you clicked this video, right? Hey, if the
I
algorithm's
like
not
those
going to sell
golems.
my videos to new people because 60% of my viewers are actually subscribed, then
That's
I need to
nice.
sell it myself with
For
the
me, it's
most
the opposite.
outrageous titles you've ever laid eyes on. If you've made it through the cringy intro and not been blinded by my bald head, you're probably in one of two parties. The party of I fucking hate Ashes of Creation and this Narc guy needs to stop shitting on my MMO for a game that doesn't exist, or the party of I heckin' love Ashes of Creation and Steven's farts are the tastiest meal one could ever consume.
What
I'm
the
obviously
heck?
sniffing my way to high heaven here, so my takes on the game and this project in
What the
general
heck?
are probably best listened to with a pinch of copium until we actually see anything at all. However, when it comes to controversial topics like combat, PvP, and monetization, I could talk you all to Azeroth and back because my rent depends on it. The information I am regurgitating here is from a thread months back, bringing up Ashes
575.
of Creation's monetization methods and the worrying amount of cosmetics this passion project will have by the time it is released in 2025. Obviously, the guy who made this thread is huffing stronger stuff than we are.
Wait a second, we need to go back there. I think I've read one pack costs what? $75 to $375. What the heck? Let's say the game comes out in 2025. Holy sh... I hope it doesn't come out in 2025. That's very late. I would love for it to be released latest 2024. Yo, that would be eternity. Like, I hope next year they're actually getting really far. So like early 2024, maybe February or March, they can release it. Like, maybe it's not likely, but it would be nice, right? Like, I think February 2024, latest summer, would be a good release date for the game. But yeah, I think over time they will have even more. Like, this is actually scary. If this is already what they are guessing here and stuff. Oh shit. What if we get like not $36,000 worth of microtransactions, but what if we reach like 58,000 or even more? Wow, it could be if this game takes very long, right? But yeah, if you guys are new to this channel, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more content. Yo, this makes me a little worried actually.
This passion project will have by the time it is released in 2025. Obviously, the guy who made this thread is huffing stronger stuff than we are because we all know this game isn't coming out until 2077. I also want to preface this by saying I've done absolutely no research to back up or beat down any of his claims, but because this guy has a history of hating on the game for its questionable decisions over the years, you can be sure his information is 100% correct, real, and true. You see, when someone builds up a hate profile like this for a game that quite literally doesn't exist, you can be sure they're autistic enough to have their facts straight so they can argue with you down in the comments. But my problem with this thread, and evidently the title of this video, isn't the context and information they have on display. That's all very, very correct and well thought out. It's just the way it's worded that rubs me the wrong way for two very important reasons that people are not aware of, and thankfully, Intrepid themselves have done a great job focusing on due to feedback that they've been given since this highly anticipated MMORPG has ramped up throughout the whole of 2022. These will be the primary topics of debate today, and we'll be jumping into them right after a word from today's sponsor.
Are you a sad, lonely old landlubber? Are ye bored waiting for an MMO that quite literally doesn't exist? Do you long for companionship and camaraderie?
It gives me New World vibes somehow.
Well, have I got you covered, me hearty, for I've got just the game for you. No, it's not Raid Shadow Legends, you fucking retard. All aboard the me spaceship, ya bilgerat, for I have a place that'll keep them dark thoughts away in these dark times. The Narciverse Discord is a bustling place full of absolute degenerates like yourself, desperately sucking in the copium like a bunch of dad gamers who lost the will to live. We have regular PvP beating down new joners with controversial takes, shaming them for enjoying their pathetic single-player games posing as MMOs. We discuss topics such as what'll Narc be ordering for takeaway this evening,
Really?
or what on earth is he masturbating to tonight.
What kind
It's
of
a
topic?
glorious place for coomers, weebs, and dad gamers alike. Come and join the Narciverse Discord is exactly the place you wanna be.
I'm not gonna lie, guys, this is the best Discord promotion I have ever seen by any creator. Like, what do usually creators do? Link in just their Discord in description. I'm one of them, and yeah, we have a Discord as well if you guys want to join. But this is the best Discord promotion like I've ever seen before. Like, best self promotion here.
Spending your time huffing the copium for a game with $36,000 worth of cosmetics. It's free, it's social, and it doesn't force you to do dog shit dailies for an arbitrary increase in numbers that do
like in WoW.
literally nothing to your overall performance because you suck at the game. The link is down in the description below and pinned in the comments section. If you're brave enough to scroll down that far and subject yourself to the rabid depression that lurks down in Narc's comments. Now on with this borderline pointless video.
I've made a plethora of videos throughout my time shilling this game, attacking, defending, and feverishly trying to convince myself that this game isn't a Star Citizen level scam. And I think tackling today's discussion using Star Citizen is a pretty solid place to start. You see, the packs on offer each month serve two main purposes. Firstly, from a monetization point of view, you may ask yourself, why do they cost so much money? Well,
yeah, why?
That's quite simple, really. Back when the game was first selling its testing access through Kickstarter, we were explicitly told that the Kickstarter was simply a way to gauge interest, and regardless of our monetary support, the game will be internally funded regardless. This is a stance Steven and the team have continuously stood by, reminding us of this as much as they possibly can. The Kickstarter was merely a way to set the goals from the gate, and of course, they smashed said goals, setting records for the most funded MMORPG on Kickstarter. The most relevant price point that we're going to use today is the $500 one.
But they need to do this. If they don't get funded by anyone, they can't develop for that long because they don't generate any income from their game and they don't have another game, right? So if you focus on developing as a company and you have also your developers that you hired for like multiple years, you have no game out yet that's like selling on the market. So what do? You have to rely on donations and funding and stuff like that, right? And this is something that actually makes me sometimes worried about Ashes of Creation. Like, for how long will the funding last? Like, will there be a time when the game takes way too long to be developed, where people get tired of it and they maybe no longer start funding? Would they be forced to do an early release at some point when the game is not completed or something like that? And this is something that I'm worried about. Like, one side of me really wants the game to come out as quick as possible so I can freaking play it. But another side of me is like worried when I look at like some of the games like New World and how back in the day in Skyrim some content was cut, but hey, it was still very successful, but this was an exception. But like New World, it was released way too early. Like, questing sucked, it was boring, the story was very not fleshed out at all. A lot was repetitive, there were like copy-paste settlements and stuff where just the direction of the buildings was like changed. It was so incomplete and so rushed that it sucked, and it had like this big fall down, right? And I'm worried Ashes of Creation will experience the same if the funding stops and they will be forced to release it early or something. But if the funding keeps going on, it also makes the game take eternity because they know they still have the resources to keep developing it. Like, we need to find some sort of balance here, I think, where the game comes out not too quick, and not too quickly, but not too late. So maybe 2025 is actually a good year for it to be released. I wish it was 2024, but maybe it's too early. But let's not make it be 2026 or something, because that would be way too late.
And was offering the following. 1. A lifetime subscription for the game valued at, well, priceless, obviously, to a set of cosmetics that we will, for simplicity's sake, value at the standard retail price of what they're currently worth. So roughly $200 in cosmetic skins. We also got a bunch of random irrelevant stuff, and of course, full
Imagine spending it now to get it
Alpha
4
1,
years later.
Alpha 2, Beta 1, and Beta 2. A pretty hefty price overall, I agree, but again, you're pledging to help develop this game during its development process. You're not paying for skins here, and if you were buying this for skins, you probably need to seek some help. But as the years went by and Alpha 1 drew closer, Intrepid actually discontinued this lifetime sub option from their $500 Kickstarter pack and replaced it with an Alpha 1 specific pack, offering obviously the Alpha 1 key, 12 months of game time valued at $180, $140 worth of skins, and the new addition of $150 worth of embers, their cosmetic store currency, actually putting the value of this pack at exactly $470.
That's
leaving
expensive.
the final $30 the price you're paying for access to the Alpha 1. Okay, now we're looking at this in a breakdown. Doesn't seem too bad, right? But why didn't Intrepid sell the access alone for just $30? Well, you see, my friends, this is where my first warning for Intrepid's ethics would have flagged up, because in my opinion, selling access to testing phases for a lower price than what they were originally asking the Kickstarters to pay would be a giant spit in the face of them loyal few who actually had faith in the game back at its inception. If they had sold Alpha 1 access as a cheaper standalone price, I would have been calling them out as a scam, because that, in my opinion, is completely and utterly disrespectful and greedy. But let's move on now. Beyond Alpha 1, what about the current Alpha 2 keys? Well, these are currently priced at $375 and offer the following: 9 months worth of subscription valued at $135, the standard $140 worth of skins, and $125 worth of embers for their cosmetic store post-launch, putting the total at, $400. So you're actually saving money purchasing this pack, and you have full access to the future testing phases. Pretty interesting, right? Now, obviously, some of these items you might not be interested in at all, like the cosmetics.
But you know what shocks me on this? Like with the price, or if you look at this, like imagine you spent $400 so you can access a game for a couple of months, where you can just go to a gaming store and buy a game for way less money and play it immediately, right? Like, I don't know, but they need this funding, of course. Like, as if they develop something for years and they sell something that's expensive, but to a fewer amount of people, they can still sustain themselves financially over the longer period. So I do get that they do this. They have to generate some source of revenue, some income. If they don't, they are in trouble. It makes sense. Because they are investing a lot also in the technology, right? Like in order to get like the new Unreal Engine, the new updates and certain tools and software they're using and stuff, they also need to buy this, right? Then they need like additional computers for their developers. Maybe they hire another developer. They also have a monthly income, right? So yeah, they somehow need to find ways to finance themselves. So this is why I'm not as upset about this kind of stuff here that we are seeing, even though it's like freaking expensive, than I would be on a game that's already on the market. Like if World of Warcraft goes crazy with microtransactions or Elder Scrolls Online, like I feel a certain way about this, and in another good way, of course, I'm upset. But here I'm not so upset, because I know the game's not out and they need money so they can keep producing, developing the game and stuff, right? So it makes sense, but still, I think some of it is quite expensive.
Store post-launch, putting the total at, $400. So you're actually saving money purchasing this pack, and you have full access to the future testing phases. Pretty interesting, right? Now, obviously, some of these items you might not be interested in at all, like the cosmetics. However, I want to emphasize something that I argue with people a lot. These are not cosmetics. These armors, mounts, pets, ships, and buildings are actually assets that are being created right now to populate the world of Vera. I'm very confident nearly all of the so-called cosmetics Intrepid have shown so far will be used in the Alpha 2 to populate a node, a grinding spot, or a dungeon, and I think they best explain
some are
it
mobs
in
too.
this clip here.
You just kind of have to realize too that art is being made parallel to those systems. So a lot of people are like, why are you focusing on art? Because art we can show, right? A lot of the systems are code and design, and you know, like you have to experience them to really see them in action.
These skins we're getting in these packs
They look so
are
nice.
not retail purchasable cosmetics. They will never be in the store for purchase now or post-launch. Once they're gone, they're gone. It's them keeping the ball rolling so they can continue to build this world as fast as possible. What you're seeing here in these monthly packs are actually things you should be excited for because they're assets the team are making to create a diverse, populated MMO.
Imagine you have like some house where you live in, that's like a giant mushroom like this here. Or fighting this giant mushroom monster thingy. They look nice, like because of the looks I'm like tempted to like, oh, I should just buy that or something, but I know that it's like so expensive and I'm like trying to control myself not to buy it, right? But it's tempting, right? Like imagine you get this kind of cool frog like mount, this kind of outfit here and stuff.
RPG world, and
I mean, it looks nice.
100%.
Oh, look at this armor
When
here.
you don't
Imagine
have
a cleric
a
with
diverse
this
roster of unique assets, you end up with New World, a rushed, unfinished piece of soulless garbage
Pack New
with
World.
the same 5 mob types everywhere. These
Yeah.
monthly packs are a direct fix to this problem. Eventually,
True.
whether you want to accept it or not for your narrative, these monthly packs will stop
Oh
when
shit,
the
this
world
looks like Game
is
of
fully
Thrones.
populated, and Intrepid will probably
I'm getting like when I look at this, especially like this armor up here, I'm thinking about Game of Thrones for some reason. But yeah, this is all themed to something. Like this is like themed to either like a location in game, right? Or maybe like a season. Like here's like the winter season and stuff. And with freaking Game of Thrones armor and stuff. Interesting.
will stop when the world is fully populated, and Intrepid will
The
probably
orc
shift
stuff.
over to a standard pre-order style purchase, similar to every other MMORPG in existence. Obviously, all this sounds like a guy whose livelihood depends on Ashes of Creation not being a scam. However, hopefully some clearly explained
Wow.
logic here using literal numbers and facts has put your concerns to rest when it comes to Ashes of Creation's current funding process. So allow me to follow up with a clip directly from my jailer himself.
The bottom line is I am committed to this project's success and completion. And that means that when it comes to funding for the additional years that perhaps were not planned for, that's coming out of mine and John's pocket. And we're okay with that because what we see in front of us is not only a team of extremely talented individuals, but also a community that is extremely passionate about the project and wanting to see it come to fruition.
Which is a huge morale
Yeah.
boost, obviously, for our community. It feels good
Sounds
to be
nice.
reassured of Steven's commitment. And that's got to be the most ironic segue possible for me to absolutely shit on Ashes of Creation.
And we have to also take into account like their whole future career of Intrepid Studios depends on it. If this is their main game, like their game where they start getting into the business of game developing, if you have a good product as your first big like your first game, right? This is what you need to be successful. I mean, if we look at freaking Blizzard, how they like blew our minds with freaking Diablo back in the day in like Warcraft games, right? Like Warcraft 3 especially. I think Warcraft 3 made them what they are now, right? Because Warcraft 3 is the reason why they got so rich with freaking World of Warcraft, right? And how they managed to come up with like other games in the future, like Overwatch, because they had the income and stuff from all their big games, right? So yeah, I mean, if you're starting a career as a gaming studio, like your first game needs to be big. If it's not big and like you're getting overlooked and stuff, and you maybe are making even like minus because you use like your own money to start something, like he himself, he said he will take money from his pocket to like freaking fund the game if it takes longer even and stuff, right? So it needs to be successful, otherwise they will be jobless, like literally.
Creations monetization with a completely unreasonable but passionate take about cosmetics in MMORPGs. But the question I want to answer now is, how do I personally feel about Ashes of Creation's cosmetic-focused monetization scheme? One of this MMO's main selling points, and one of the reasons why this project stands above its parallel cousin, Star Citizen, is their stance on pay-to-win. Ashes was conceptualized because the genre had turned into egregious pay-to-win, and Steven himself loves to engage in that, no doubt resulting in his awful gameplay in the current year. However, he still recognizes that it's not fair or fun gameplay. It's destructive for the game's population and enjoyment that merely exists for short-term
It ruins the atmosphere
at the expense of progression. Therefore, without trying to talk too much for the man who I have become a slave for my sins, he set out to use his riches
face on your
to
underwear.
make his own MMO. And because of this, I am 100% confident Ashes of Creation is going to be the only MMO that funds itself purely from a non-box cost, sub-fee only, non-convenience-based cosmetic store. And, you know, I can live with that. Is it perfect?
Yeah.
No. Of course not, and that's what I want to focus on in this
No, pay to win is
segment.
most important
You see,
anyway.
In my opinion, cosmetic progression played a huge role in the MMORPG genre back in the early days of WoW. A hierarchy of players was something that kept the general player base motivated to push onwards and upwards, as you would notice people wearing tier sets, AFK in the main city hub, and you wanted to be like them. Now,
you know what I'm sometimes thinking, also when it comes to World of Warcraft and the microtransactions and stuff there? I'm like wondering sometimes where maybe microtransactions also introduced and coming, because like a lot of game studios, they realized, oh shit, our game is no more selling like it did several years ago. So in order to make up for the loss of people that buy the game, we have to introduce ways to make more money of those people that actually do play and buy the game, right? So maybe it was kind of like a compensation for the loss of sales or something. Like sometimes I get this kind of feeling when I look at some of the games that have like late microtransactions. I've seen this with like freaking Skyrim. Like they're no more releasing any new Elder Scrolls game, and then they add like, oh, you can buy this and this kind of stuff in there, right? And same with like World of Warcraft. When World of Warcraft was new, you didn't have all those crazy microtransactions. I think they happened when the player numbers also started dropping a bit, right? I mean, it could also be greed. Like, the thing is, like, it could be any reason, right? It could be greed, how to make more money. Or it could be a compensation for sale losses, right? Like, oh, we're not selling this game so much anymore. Our subscriptions fell by 10% or something. Let's find other ways to make money. Let's introduce microtransactions. So it could be either greed to make even more money, or to make up for the loss of players that buy the game, right? Yeah, I don't know. It could be both. Maybe it depends on which game, right? On which gaming studio. Yeah.
Steven has assured us that in-game earnable armor will trump what they sell in their store post-launch. However, all throughout history, this has never been the case. Cosmetics are subjective at the end of the day.
Okay,
One
right?
man's trash is another man's treasure, so it's impossible to make in-game cosmetics stand above the purchasable ones simply because of preference. I do agree that the in-game armors they've shown so far
look
are
nice,
extremely well made, but that's besides the point. When that hierarchy of players is disrupted by using a skin to cover your armor set for zero effort at all, players no longer think in the way that we did back in the day. So let me end today's video with a question for you, my dear viewer.
Imagine you're beating like one of the most difficult dungeons in game, and you get like this cool looking sword or armor or something, and then you walk up to someone and you're like, oh, look what I've done. I've completed the hardest content. Look at this cool sword I got and my armor. I look so nice. I look like I'm a living god or something. Like people will show off like that. And then like one person will just go into his menu and he will equip his freaking cosmetic. Like he will like transmog himself. And then he has like this big ass sword that's like freaking glowing and with like purple flames or something. He has those big spiky shoulders that are also glowing with like maybe purple fire or something. And then he's like, What the heck are you talking about? Like, I bought this for $50. Look at me. I look way better than you with your endgame gear and shit. Like, I'm worried about this. Like, what if really you beat the hardest content and you look like so cheap in comparison to someone that bought something for like $50 or something? Oh no.
Ashes of Creation is an MMORPG
Please no.
focused on that aspect of adventure, then doesn't a cosmetics store and evidently transmog as a whole completely contradict that? As I said, in my opinion,
What's this in the sky, by the way?
cosmetic hierarchy played a huge role in showing you what you could be one day if you kept working on your skills as a player and actually socialized with
I
your
like this
service
Roman-inspired
community. You
armor
earned a
here, by
name
the
for
way.
yourself
It's
as
like
a
from
top
Roman
guild
Empire.
survival hunter or the main healing officer, and people don't recognize you unless your character has meaningful cosmetics that are immediately recognizable, exclusive to specific types of content, and are hard to obtain. Sadly, over time, the mentality of players has been completely and utterly lost to make way for this cosmetic monetization scheme being labeled as ethical. And although I do agree it is ethical, it's still sad that the sense of wonder and adventure is lost as people dress up their characters like Barbie dolls in full sets of shiny armor that they bought from the store for $25 fucking dollars.
Yeah, and you can look as an early game character more OP than an end game character. Like a low level player, level 10, can look way better than someone that is already level 50 plus or something. That's so weird, right? Like you buy something and then you have like this end game even looking gear and stuff, and you have someone that's like mid game and he doesn't even look close to end game gear.
But as usual, I am just one nerd desperate for a good MMO, and my opinion means nothing without yours in the comments below. And hey, I really would love it if you guys came and joined our Discord. We have such a great community and we need new people to discuss the same tired topics with over and over and over. Please, guys, I desperately need new people. The current ones are completely insufferable and I need an excuse to ban them and replace them with new ones. People like you. I promise you'll love it there. It's so cozy and wholesome and most certainly not a toxic cesspit of jaded, washed-up gamers. Please, help me.
But Narc, you yellow-bellied landlubber, you didn't pay me for me sponsor segment like you promised, and if ye don't surrender me funds, I'll gut you like the pathetic need you are.
And to that I say, listen, Captain Copium.
I think Narc has the best Halloween
here,
outfits.
So let me clue you in on how things roll in the Narciverse. I'm the boss. You're nothing. You're a rat. A tool for me to use and abuse. I own you. You are now captain of this depressing vessel drifting through space, waiting for an MMORPG that quite literally
doesn't exist. And if you ever think you're going to escape back out to the open seas, then
you are high on copium.
You're high on copium.
Interesting, but yeah, I'm not so upset about the microtransactions in Ashes of Creation because they're using it to fund the game. Like, this is more understandable than coming from a gaming company that already have released a game that they sell pretty well, right? And maybe it is even subscription based, so you have to pay every month. Then why the heck would you need to introduce freaking microtransactions? Either your game doesn't sell as well anymore, like I said, to compensate, to make up for the losses in sales, or because there's just pure greed behind it. And this is something that I guess depends on which gaming studio, which game, but still, I'm not a big fan of microtransactions in general. I don't mind if they exist, if they are just cosmetics. However, if it comes to like pay to win, or you can like boost your character, or maybe there are some items that make you have a higher chance of refining a sword so it's stronger or something, like this is pay to win in my opinion. Or where you have like those kind of gacha games like in Genshin Impact, where if you pull the same character card 5 times, you unlock some extra skills, you have 2 charges on your special skill instead of 1 and stuff. That's pay to win, I hate this. But yeah, Ashes of Creation, I hope there's not gonna be any pay to win. Some of the cosmetics are pretty expensive in my opinion, but then again they're using it to fund the game, so I'm not super frustrated or angry at it. Will I buy any cosmetics? Not sure yet. I haven't bought any. Will I ever? don't know, time will tell. But yeah, if you guys are new to this channel, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And let me know your thoughts on this. Like, how do you feel about the microtransactions, the cosmetics in Ashes of Creation? Are you upset about it, or you agree with them, you don't mind them? Like, let me know. And if you guys enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give this one a thumbs up. I wish everyone a wonderful day. I will see you guys next time.